The James Show Podcast.
So now it looks like the lowest temperature forecasted according to my iPhone. Not quite as reliable as Brad Barton, but it says 14 degrees. 14? I'm sorry. I thought we lived in Texas. I didn't realize we lived on the ice planet of Hoth from Empire Strikes Back. Our topic right now, though, is in light of the ongoing ice protests, and they're not stopping. In fact, I expect them to ramp up, expect more people to get hurt, if not killed, and I do not delight or enjoy telling you that. But I want to ask you, because I see a whole lot of tough guys online, a lot of keyboard badasses that say, if this happens in my church, we're just going to take them out. I can still carry, and I'm just going to put them down. No, you're not. You're not going to put them down. You're not going to kill anybody for screaming at you in church. But I have a feeling most of you wouldn't just tuck tail and duck out of there like the nerds up north did, would you? 800-288-9227, because I think the truth is somewhere between that. No, you're not going to murder them, but no, you're not going to do nothing. What are you going to do? Now, we've had some great answers thus far. Some people have said they really would be completely pacifists. I like the idea of tasing them. But most people agree that there would be some big guys that would know their place in the congregation that would just stand up and start walking to the front of the church. And, come on, fella, you're coming with me. This is Ashley in Allen. Good to hear from a woman on this topic. Ashley and Allen, this happens at church. What do you think is going to happen to them?
Well, I personally attend a large church that held a prayer vigil after the outlet shooting that was in Allen. And we had protesters that were outside, like at the entrances of the parking lot, so far away from the building with signs and such. But during the vigil, a few came inside. And when one started yelling very loudly and angrily, he was swiftly let out by several men on our security team, and that ended well. But this has reached a hysteria, obviously, and these types of protesters have now proven that they have no problem escalating and becoming dangerous. So we've all got our kids with us. Being pacifist, there's levels of all of this, but when you have children, women and children, that you have no idea who these people are coming in and what they've already proven time and time again. You know what? If you want to protest outside, go for it safely. If you want to protest inside, it's now dangerous and it needs to be dealt with and they need to be removed. That doesn't mean that I'm shooting anybody. It just means they need to be removed. And that's what the big men in the church are for. And I'm thankful for them. So there's nothing unchristian about that.
Well, that sounds great. So you have the mega church thing going too, and y'all have the security team, or was this an organic standing up of giant guys who just led them out?
Yeah,
y'all do the security team too.
We do, yes, sir, and it's and we have police as well, but definitely people that, like the guy said before, you wouldn't know unless you knew, and I do know a lot of them, and it's wonderful knowing they're there, but it doesn't matter how many security you have. If you have unhinged people coming in, they can do some damage before they can be, really taken out. So the quicker it is, the better. And, of course, the most peaceful it could be, the better. But it's got to be dealt with quickly because these people, we see it, right? We see it every day. They're unhinged. So you gotta react. You gotta protect.
Well, and it's getting worse.
Yes, much.
Well, it's getting worse, and the guys that have already crossed the line, they're not going to be punished accordingly, so just expect them to keep escalating it until they do get punished accordingly. And I don't see even where that horizon is. And, I think about things like this, like right now, First Baptist Church of Bug Tussle, we're about to do some renovations on our sanctuary. And they don't listen to me on these things, but I came up with the idea of, on one side of the baptism, for those of you godless heathens who've never been in a Baptist church before, we have like a little hot tub where we baptize people that's behind the stage. And I thought, wouldn't it be cool if on the left side of that we just had a slide where you could like be at the top of the slide and the kids could just slide in and you'd go underwater and that would count as your baptism. And the pastor could be there and Scott just high fives you when you pop back up. I'm trying to innovate and trying to be a little more, inclusive and contemporary and sort of adjust with the times, but people don't listen to me in these situations. Oh, and I did get a whip. I was. You were on hold when I was talking about that, but it was really cool. I went over to some store from Azel, and thank you very much for your call. They had these whips, and they had different lengths. So I got the 12-foot long bull whip here. So I'm prepared. I've got the one weapon that Jesus used in the Bible. I think I'm just going to take this to church and be like, Scott, just in case, bro. And I can call him bro because he's Brother Scott. So that's cool. And then I went to buy it, and the people were so nice. They were like, oh, my God. Are you James Parker from the radio? That'll be absolutely free. No, I'm just kidding. They didn't recognize me. It was $35. So, all right. I had another great caller here because Ray and Sagan. Oh no, Mark and Joshua was next. Sorry, I need to go in order here. Hey, Mark and Joshua, you're on WBAP. What do you do if these protesters show up at your church?
So our church has multiple campuses. We have what we call our security teams called Crisis Response Groups, CRG, and it's a mix of security and medical. I work on both sides. I'm a nurse. I'm also former LEO. We're already game planning what we're going to do since this happened. We haven't figured out all the details because some of the things that we know, some of the things I found out about this was that these people snuck in with the congregants as though they were congregants. They came in separately and then they formed a mass. And then once they got all their people in, that's when they went nuts. And so that's something that's going to be hard to deal with because you don't want to. I believe the church is a hospital for hurting humanity. So you don't want to be so suspicious of everyone coming in that we're expecting issues. At the same time, we need to get prepared for it. On my side of the line, I carry non-lethal defense systems such as a Barna, taser, and even a specialized riot baton if necessary. I pray I never have to use any of that, but I also don't want to take a life. But I also don't want the collateral damage. But if I have to defend myself and defend my church, I want to be able to do it.
Is that riot baton, Mark? Is that one of those collapsible ones, like it telescopes out?
Yes, a Toyota, yes.
Oh, those look so fun. So is tasing these protesters, is that on the table as part of your response team, crisis response team?
Well, it's part of, I've already talked to people. My team knows what I carry. And I wouldn't even pull it out unless I saw an actual threat, like he's grabbing someone or bringing out a weapon or showing, something that tells me this guy is going to escalate.
What if he's just real annoying? What if he's just real annoying?
That doesn't. No way. I mean, you got to be polite. Okay. You got to try to get him out. You try to separate the situation.
It's a taser.
But the thing about it is the liability issues. If this guy's just making noise and acting like a fool, and now we've got to start escorting him out, and he starts getting aggressive, and he starts fighting us, or he decides to, attack, then game on. But if we can escort him out, while he's yelling and screaming, then that's what we're going to do.
Well, you sound nice and professional and principled. I think the lesson here is don't let Parker on your crisis defense squad. Because if you hand me a taser, I'm so itching to use it. If these guys came in and yelled at my kids, I'd have a hard enough time not doing something stupid. But don't give me a taser. Don't give me a Byrna. I got a whip. I think that's as much as Jesus can tolerate me having right now. Thank you very much. That's Mark and Joshua. We're just running through what some of the good old boys here in Texas would do if these protesters popped off at their church service on Sunday. Ray in Saginaw, you're next up on WBAP. What do you do, Ray?
Well, I'll tell you. First of all, I haven't heard anybody mention the fact that it is a Texas Penal Code 4205, disrupting a meeting or procession, making offense to obstruct, interfere, lawful gatherings, including church services, through physical action or verbal utterances with intent to prevent or disrupt them. It is against the law. What we would do, we call the police, turn it over to them. They have the full authority to arrest them, take them off the premises. Now, our church does have a group of men, and I think there's one or two women on the team. It's called a safety team. They're there to kind of help de-escalate or any situations. We have had situations where a homeless person has walked in basically looking for a handout or some food, and they deal with it, They don't carry weapons. There's no intention for any kind of force in terms of especially lethal force. So, and I know a lot of churches and a lot of friends of mine and this is a small church. It's not a really big church.
Okay.
But a lot of churches are having little teams like that. And there is a guy who has a company. I think he's based in North Dallas, but he travels all over the country. And they do training. They do specific professional training to churches that have teams like this to teach them how to de-escalate, how to use their eyes and ears and try to spot trouble before it happens when possible.
Oh, man, this does not sound like something that I would be very good at. Because, listen, I've had a pretty tranquil adulthood, but the transition, from adolescence to young adult, There was a lot of physical confrontations, and I'm not necessarily proud of all that. But I remember being at someone's house party, and if someone gets out of line, here's what you do: you grab them by the shirt with both hands, and you just throw them out the door. Like that. That used to be when I got to be this big, and when I was in college, I played soccer, and so I was always in the weight room and whatnot. And so I used to be a little bit of a unit, not so much now. But I used to love throwing a little guy. That used to be my jam. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know.
Well, I mean, the approach that our church and several of our sister churches take with it is it's kind of, they consider it a ministry. It's like, okay, these are people that have problems. And, yeah, they're going to try to disrupt stuff, and we're going to try to de-escalate. We're going to try to prevent. If we can't do that, then we're going to bring the lawful authorities in, let them handle the situation, take them off premises, and then deal with it that way if possible. Well, they're even trained all the way up to active shooter situations. So,
Well, I'm glad you guys have this all worked out, because I don't think I'd be very good for the cause. They're looking for someone like me to pop off, and because if I was in charge of such things and the outside world was looking in, I'm not sure they would know who the good guys and the bad guys are. If not for people like you. You can't trust me with that. Thank you.
There are some fine lines there. I have a background way back when I was in the Navy. I was stationed in San Diego, and I volunteered. I was San Diego Police Reserve Officer for 6 years. I went through the police academy, and so I've seen that other side of it. So, there's just things that you have to try to figure out. And not everybody is, like you say, not everybody's got the temperament to be patient that way.
No, I'm not that guy. All right, well, thank you, Ray. Let's do Randy in Frisco. Randy in Frisco, you're on WBAP. What do you think?
Hey, so I got a letter. Dear unhinged, pro-breaking the law individuals, we're only 8 years from 8 years from Sutherland Springs here in Texas, 3 years out from the Allen Outlet Mall shooting. And I can give you a little hint. Do not try any of this behavior at a Baptist church here in Texas. There's either law enforcement on site or the pastor is probably packing heat. We will, since it's private property, have you removed from the property and trespass from the property at the least. And also, if you want a little hint, go to a Universal Unitarian Unilateralism Church.
Oh, goodness.
Where they actually have protests at the end of the service, and you can more than likely get up and yell and scream all you want.
You know what? I like that take, Randy. If you need to get it out of your system, go to the Unitarian Church. They believe in everything. They believe in the flying spaghetti monster. They believe in witches, Islam, Christianity. They're not going to do anything to you. Go pick on those nerds. Don't bring that around to I don't want to say like Baptist churches are awesome, but I don't know. If you go to one of these little churches out in the middle of nowhere, especially like a cowboy church, half those guys are hung over and not very good at the whole Christian thing to begin with. They're working on themselves, but they're not the people you want to test. Good stuff.
Like the protester said, we're sinners.
Yeah,
we're just trying not to sin anymore.
Yeah, he's not wrong about that one. Sylvia in Garland, you're going to be my last word on this. It'd be nice to end with a woman on this topic. Sylvia, you're on WBAP. What do you do if this happens in your church?
Well, we're probably smaller than you are in this little church in Garland, United Methodist. Probably smaller than your Baptist church in Bug Tussle.
We got 300 members. What you got?
They got security cameras, and as soon as a little bit before services start, all doors are locked, and there is someone who sits and monitors the security cameras so that if you are a member of the congregation and you're running late, they let you in. They let other people in one at a time. They do have a trained team like other churches. They have walkie-talkies and earpieces, and they basically volunteer to be kind of the invisible guard. But we lock the doors and we don't let them in to begin with.
Wow. This must be a city thing. Is this all the city churches that have crisis response teams and whatnot? Because, I guess we must have a safety thing. But, really, when you're that far out in the country and you know everybody, protesters aren't going to go out there. These people with the bone through their nose and they've got the faded green hair and whatnot. If they ever went to First Baptist Church of Bug Tussle, I'm not sure they'd be able to find their way home. Their phone would be like, I don't know where we're at.
I don't think you're going to get to use your taser at your church in Bug Tussle. You have to visit one of these big churches to use your taser.
God, y'all are gassing me up about this taser thing. I already got a whip. Am I going to have to get a taser too? Because I've never tased anybody. Yeah. I hear good things about those. Thank you very much. Yep, Sylvia and Garland. Good call to end it with. Yeah, Berna comes recommended by my uncle who can't carry a gun because somebody has felonies. And I think baby Jesus is bringing us cold weather this weekend because he wants us to be prepared for taking over Greenland. Isn't that right? Yeah, it's like a little Greenland practice run, right? We get to see what it's like to have ice falling out of the sky, to walk around in ice, like have it crunching under your feet like in the movies. So I think this is divine providence here. But since I'm live from the Fort Worth Stock Show and Rodeo, saw a report this morning on whether or not the expected wintry weather over the weekend will affect the Fort Worth Stock Show and Rodeo, and the answer is probably not.
This is a rodeo that does not back down from the weather.
Throughout its history, the Fort Worth Stock Show and Rodeo has weathered plenty of winter storms, and the show still goes on.
In fact, it's only been canceled twice, during World War II and the pandemic.
Not equipped to forecast the weather, so keep this in mind.
With winter weather in the forecast this weekend, organizers say they're ready.
You got to be prepared for whatever Mother Nature brings you.
Behind the scenes, crews are stocking up and preparing the grounds.
We plan ahead for that, store loads of sand, loads of salt. In the event that we do have inclement weather.
Safety for both people and animals is the priority.
Yes, making things as safe as possible for our guests. We're prepared and ready to roll.
For ranchers like Michael England, preparation at home can mean everything.
To me, that's got to be the worst, is not preparing pipes and getting ready for that. Because first off, the animals need a constant supply of water. It's just miserable trying to fix it while it's cold.
Still, many are willing to ride it out.
We're already here, and who knows, maybe we'll get out of here before the actual weather hits.
Back at the rodeo grounds, the message is clear.
We're still going to have a good time. We don't cancel because of adverse weather.
In Fort Worth, I'm Adriana Dow.
So it sounds like the show must go on. But last year, didn't they close the exhibit? Y'all were saying that they closed the exhibit hall one day on the weekend when I wasn't here? All right, so maybe the exhibit hall might be closed for one day. But that's why you follow them on social media. If they have a Facebook page, if they do some changes, they'll let you know. I love how the conversation on Greenland is heating up, no pun intended, because it's bringing up a couple of interesting parts. Like yesterday, I was, and on previous James shows, I was talking about how I like the idea just because we haven't added any territory to the United States in my entire life. And I kind of agree with the old business adage, if you're not growing, you're dying. You know, because if we're not adding territory anymore, then what? We're at our maximum extent. This is it. We're peaked out. It means we peaked in what? 1958 or 1959, whenever we last added territory. That was our peak. That means we're in the decline now. Well, Greenland would be a sign we're not in the decline. The other thing I like about this is Greenland is bringing up some interesting intra-NATO discussions here. Because what if we take Greenland? Who's going to stop us? Well, Denmark happens to have a treaty and be in a alliance with a lot of its neighbors. And they're supposed to come to each other's defense if there's an act of aggression or it's needed. And so what? Would NATO go to war with the United States? Really? Whose side would y'all be on at NATO? Why would you not be on our side in this conflict? We're the ones who pay by far most of the bill. We're the ones who have covered your butt in the almost 100 years, 80 years since World War II. So there's a fun little discussion being had here on what's NATO even for? NATO was there and pretty much put together to stop the Soviet Union, to provide a counterbalance to what was behind the Steel Curtain. Because they had the whole Soviet bloc. You know, they had the actual Soviet Union, but they really had functional control over all those Eastern European countries, the Poland, Hungary, Czechoslovakia, Yugoslavia when it existed, Romania. These places were all one bloc. NATO was supposed to be the counterbalance to that. So it was the big United States and then all of our buddies in Western Europe. But do we still need NATO? Trump today.
But the problem with NATO is that we'll be there for them 100%. But I'm not sure that they'd be there for us if we gave them the call.
Yeah. would they be there for us if we gave them the call? Did NATO rush and help us out when we were having our conflicts in the Middle East and in Afghanistan and in Iraq and wherever else? Not really. Now, there's been some constituent countries within NATO that have been a big help. I remember reading Chris Kyle's book, and you'd be surprised how much the Polish people helped us out during the Middle East. They didn't get a whole lot of attention for that, but not every country has been very helpful to us in NATO. Do we really need it anymore? I'm not so sure. Because then there's also been the weird proposition where, well, if you want to quell things with the Russians, maybe you should allow them to be in NATO. It's like, well, I don't know. We're literally supposed to have this entire organization. It's supposed to be the anti-Russian vehicle, and then here we are letting them join. Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen with that. But I have a feeling the way he's talking about it, like it's already a done deal, makes me think that when we come back in 5 years, 10 years, we'll have Greenland. It's just a matter of time. We're just filling out the paperwork right now. Did you see what we did to Maduro? We could drop in 20 dudes with that little sonic ray gun like from G.I. Joe or whatever. We could take the whole thing by force. We're just being nice by not doing it already. And then after that, I'd start taking Canadian provinces. We need to grow this sucker. Manifest destiny straight to the North Pole. Larry in Brownsboro. You're on WBAP. What do you think, Larry?
Mr. Bud Tussle. Hey,
yes, sir.
Well, I'll tell you, yeah, I would love to. It sounds really glorified, to have this big piece of ice 3 times the size of Texas. But here's the thing. Here's my opinion, and I am conservative. That's all I want to say about that. Okay. Anyhow, we got to take care of our own self right now. I want a new truck. I would love to have a brand new 1-ton truck just to have it in case I need it to move my RV in case we have an ice storm or something like that. I would love it. However, I'm in a debt that, currently that I shouldn't do that because it wouldn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. I've got a truck that's got 300,000 miles. I take care of it, and I need to put more money into it. We've got to take care of our own country, our health care, a lot of things. We have to have our house in order. That's what our purpose needs to be, and that's my position.
Well, that's this because you're not wrong that we're in debt. Of course we're in debt. Of course we need to take care of that, and that's terribly irresponsible way to run a country is run around $38 trillion in debt. Oh, I got all that. However, you're letting social programs and our unfunded liabilities get in the way of expanding the empire. I don't think we quit the expansion. I think we quit the social programs.
But I want to expand my empire, and I want to have another truck, maybe a Ferrari too. I would love to have a Ferrari sitting out there. It'd be cool. I'm 57 years old. I mean, it'd be cool to drive around town in a Ferrari in my little town of Brownsboro. However, okay. I think you understand what I'm saying. I get it. It would be glorious, I guess, to gain more.
Okay, let me try this. So your fiscal point has some merit. What if we got it for free? What if they had a referendum in Greenland and they were like, yeah, we'd all like to join the United States and it won't cost you anything. Now, are you cool with it?
Hang on, I laugh. I'm sorry. I understand your proposition, but nothing is free. Come on. I mean, who's going to mow the yard there? Oh, well, it's all ice, actually. And I know there's minerals, deposits, things like that, and other things. And people are talking about defense and how it would, we were attacked on our own soil back in September 2001, I think it was, if you remember. So, we have to protect and maintain what we have in order to progress and expand. And we haven't done that yet.
Okay. So if it was free though, would you still take it?
No, I don't. Again, I'm not in the position. I see too much corruption, and I see too many things that could be corrupted even further when we can't even maintain the corruption happening in our own United States. We're not even going to discuss Ukraine and other, corruption that's going on.
Well, so now I think we've betrayed a little inconsistency here because you said this was all about fiscal issues, and that's legit. Hey, if you think we can't afford it and we shouldn't spend the money on that, it's not worth the money we're spending at the taxpayer level. but then you still don't want it even if it's free. Well, now it's not a fiscal argument. Why are you really against us getting Greenland?
Well, do you think, when I go gambling, I get a free room at the casino. Do you think that room is actually free?
Well, look, you're coming up with another hypothetical, but stick with Greenland.
Okay. Do you think that is going to be free for us? You think that we will not have to maintain or spend any money out there? And it's another avenue for corruption, James. And that's my main point. It's another avenue. And
why don't we start getting rid of states? Why don't we? Because then there would be fewer avenues for corruption and fewer expenses.
Let's go ahead and cut off. The Northwest. Yeah.
Are you sure you're like a pro-American conservative here? Because if you're against expanding our territory, even if it's free, even if the people want it, you're just anti-American.
Oh, it's want and it's free. So we're supposed to be just people that want things. Okay. Should we go ahead and just take Mexico? Can we buy it? Can we buy Canada? Let's go ahead and buy Europe.
Stick with my hypothetical here. If the people of British Columbia, the westernmost province of Canada, if they had a referendum and they overwhelmingly, like 90% to 10%, wanted to join America and it wouldn't cost us anything, you wouldn't take that as a gift?
Me personally, yeah.
It's not for Larry in Brownsboro. It's not going to be bear territory.
I understand. No, I get it. But why? I mean, why? How much greed and corruption go hand in hand, James. And, I want things. Yes, I want a Ferrari. I want a one-ton truck.
Larry, here's why. Is Texas better for humanity as a whole for the entire world now that America owns it, or was it doing more to advance the world and the cause of humanity before America owned it? When America takes over places, they become better. This is a great country.
Well,
why wouldn't you want it big? Why wouldn't you want it expanded? Why wouldn't you want more of the world to be like us and to be part of America? It's been a great success, this little human experiment. Thank you very much, Larry in Brownsboro. Great. I just got to cut it off because we're out of time. But it was a great conversation. I appreciate it, sir. All right. Thank you very much for hanging out. I'll be live from the Fort Worth Stock Show and Rodeo again tomorrow, so come on out and say hi. In the meantime, keep it right here because Mark Levin's coming up next. And also, when the bad weather hits this weekend, we are your home for all things weather-related. So just remember WBAP when you see ice falling out of the sky. I'm James Parker. This has been The James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP.
The James Show Podcast.